I'm not sorry. I don't operate in that frame. I don't think it's an intelligent way for a man to go through life to say, I'm sorry. At a younger age, I did the best I could possibly do, and I did the best I believed at the time. And you grow from it and you learn, and perhaps there's times in your life where you look back and think, well, maybe I would have done this differently. But every rapper sold drugs. Like, you get to a certain stage in your career where you no longer sell drugs and you don't do it anymore, but that's part of the life journey.
Controversial social media celebrity Andrew Tate recently appeared on the Candace Owens podcast as he sat down for an interview with the conservative political commentator. Among the topics the duo covered during the segment was one that Tate's critics have always put up against him. In his early years, the former kickboxer used to run an internet webcam business, and recently, many seemingly distasteful clips of him have surfaced online. During the podcast, the King Cobra spoke about his old business, and the clips saying that he does not regret his actions and refuses to say sorry and give his harshest critics the moral high ground. According to Tate, his sultry webcam business was him trying to do right by him in the situations he was presented with.
I'm not sorry. I don't operate in that frame. I don't think it's an intelligent way for a man to go through life to say, I'm sorry. At a younger age, I did the best I could possibly do, and I did the best I believed at the time. And you grow from it and you learn, and perhaps there's times in your life where you look back and think, well, maybe I would have done this differently, because hindsight's always 20/20. But every rapper sold drugs. Like, you get to a certain stage in your career where you no longer sell drugs and you don't do it anymore, but that's part of the life journey.
Tate also added,
and I'm not going to sit here and apologize to any conservative who wants to sit me down and try and give me some moral high ground garbage. I'm not going to listen to it. I had a very rough upbringing, a very tough life, and it could have been so much worse in so many ways. I've done nothing illegal. I've never hurt anybody. Everybody who was involved in my life back then are massive supporters of me. And I think it's very hypocritical for someone to sit, look at a situation they were not involved in and don't understand, look at old clips taken out of context, and then tell me and a whole bunch of people who were in my life who were all perfectly happy that something bad happened or something wrong happened. I don't think that's genuine.
Andrew Tate admits he hurt people for money. Pornography is everywhere. Andrew Tate begins the interview by saying he is ready to get started in the trailer. The contentious footage of the former kickboxer belt-whipping a girl will come out during the interview as a topic of discussion. Tate stated his guilt for recording the video, despite the fact that the involved woman has subsequently come forward to say it was done consensually. We can see Andrew Tate saying in the interview,
I beat people up for money. I hurt people for money. I don't often tell people this, and I think it's the first interview I've mentioned it in. There's a person who can never walk the same again because he fought me. I've had 87 professional fights and I did my best to kill people. You're gonna sit here and talk about what I did for money. I literally hurt people for money.
Andrew Tate says that he is embarrassed to talk about certain things because that's the way he has been taught about them throughout his life, but he wouldn't be doing it in the same way further. He also added,
pornography as a whole is simply just, I think it's an effect. I think it's a tool which is used to ensure that the male populace stays as docile as possible. Pornography is everywhere and men are struggling with it. But to me, what's even more upsetting is that these men don't have enough fortitude and enough mental strength to wake up and say, I'm better than that.
He added that because he is now being investigated, he had to speak extremely carefully. One of the topics they discussed is Adam 22 and Lena the Plug relationship. During the interview, Candace Owens made a staggering comparison to their relationship and broke down why she believes it's not about what people think it is.
Don't allow them to delude you to believing that this is femininity.
Candace Owens told Tate,
It is not femininity, Lena, to have your husband offer your body to another man on camera. That's the poisoning. They teach women that this is sexual freedom, that this is sexual liberation. Yeah. I looked at that and I saw a slave relationship. I saw a master offering his slave to another person because he was just so, I just love Andrew Tate. Would you like to see with my wife? I would be okay with that. That is horrific. That is not femininity. That is not masculinity.
Furthermore, Tate completely agreed and called this one of the most misogynistic things that have happened in recent times. Given what he stands accused of and has said about women before, it's frankly and comically strange to hear him speak on misogyny. Regardless, many people disagreed with Candace Owens' comments, saying that people should be able to handle their relationship however they want, especially taking into account their line of work. However, others agreed that this sends the wrong message and minimizes Lena's independence as a female in a relationship with a male, which carries its own power dynamic. The former kickboxer also talked about his views on masculinity during the interview and gave his thoughts on why so many young men and boys are drawn to his brazen personality. During the interview, Owens asked Tate about how he handles the popularity and power he has gained, on which Tate said,
"Power and responsibility go hand in hand. And I do believe that I now have a huge platform, and with young boys, they're exceptionally interested in my case. I do believe to a degree I'm an anti-hero. I do believe to a degree that the harder I'm attacked, the more credibility is given to me in the eyes of my fans."
Tate said,
The question I would ask you though, and because obviously you've moved away from that business, you now, the thing I find to be the most interesting about you is that younger boys love you.
Yes.
They absolutely, like the 12, 13-year-old, 14-year-old, I have not come across a 12, 13-year-old boy who's not just an Andrew Tate stan.
Yeah.
And I think it's remarkable. It gives you a lot of power. And I think this is perhaps the interest that a lot of people have in you is, what are you going to do with this power, right? You have all of these boys, they believe in you, they stand up for you. And that is why it becomes important to state, I'm not sorry that I lived this. I don't think I would say that I'm sorry for anything decisions that I made when I was young either, because this is the deck of hands that I was given. What do you want me to do?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I do try to, now knowing that I have such a following of a lot of young ladies that follow me, say like, listen, I did the idiot stuff, so you don't have to.
Power and responsibility go hand in hand. And that's the thing that's so interesting, these out-of-date clips, and they want to talk about these things from 10 years ago. At the time when I was talking to camera, those videos were made for private circulation initially. Secondly, I wasn't trying to educate the world on anything back then. I didn't have the kind of power and influence I have back then. The way you say something to a video which has 50 viewers has to be different than the way you say something to a video that has 50 million viewers. Power and responsibility absolutely go together, and I understand that very well, and I understand the power I have. And I do believe I'm now an absolute force for good in the world, and I'm far more careful with how I'll project myself with certain ideas. Absolutely agree, completely. But that's the thing that's even so crazy about all of it. These old videos everyone's so concerned about wouldn't even circulate if my haters weren't constantly trying to use them against me. They'd be disappeared into the history of the internet. I don't know where these things come from. I don't know where they were found. I don't know where they are. It's kind of crazy. A lot of people are making all these constant attacks on me, and I don't watch a lot of it. I'll have to be honest with you, Candace. I don't watch all of it, but a lot of the videos are so outdated. The only reason they even exist now is because my haters are so desperate trying to take me down. They don't have any concern for them being seen because they wouldn't be circulating them otherwise. So yeah, absolutely. Power and responsibility go hand in hand. And I do believe that I now have a huge platform, and with young boys, they're exceptionally interested in my case. I do believe to a degree I'm an anti-hero. I do believe to a degree that the harder I'm attacked, the more credibility is given to me in the eyes of my fans. I think that they see, everyone's out to get this guy. Everyone was out to get Batman. This kind of feels that way. And I do try and lead everyone down a good path and say extremely positive things. And I don't think anybody is finding any clips from the last 5 to 6 years which have anything negative in it.